This is the final video in a series about installing the Early Warning Intervention and Monitoring System process known as EWIMS. The video series was created collaboratively by the Great Lakes Comprehensive Center and the Michigan Department of Education. These videos are based on the work of the National High School Center and were designed as a companion to the EWIMS Implementation Guide. There is a separate video for each of the 7 steps in the EWIMS process. This video describes Step 7, in which EWIMS teams review their EWIMS implementation process. At the end of each school year, and more frequently if possible, the team examines what has worked, what should be modified, and what should be replaced or eliminated. The main objective of this video is to deepen understanding of the final step in the 7-step EWIMS process, evaluate and refine the EWIMS process. The outcomes anticipated at the end of Step 7 are a shared understanding of the strengths and challenges of the previous year's EWIMS implementation process, clear recommendations for improving the school's EWIMS process. The team feels poised for success for the coming school year. Team members have a clear understanding of the process and their roles. Here's an overview of what you'll need for Step 7. Reports that provide early warning indicator data for the school year. The reports may be generated by the Michigan Data Hub Early Warning Data Tool or by your local student information system. Time to review the school's EWIMS process and identify ways to improve it. This typically happens during EWIMS team meetings. Early warning indicator data for incoming students that the team can use to prepare for the coming year. Some high schools are able to access data on incoming freshmen from feeder middle schools. While these data are nice to have, having them is not essential. Just as educators refine intervention plans for students, it is also important to refine the work of the EWIMS team. Similarly, the focus of Step 7 is the EWIMS team's reflection on how each of the previous 6 steps have gone. When evaluating the EWIMS process, all aspects of EWIMS implementation should be considered. The review process should focus on what is working, what's not working, and how the work of the EWIMS team could be improved. After reflection, the team can determine specific steps to refine its work. For example, in carrying out Step 7, the team might decide to more closely analyze risk indicators and risk thresholds, or to improve how data reports are accessed. Step 7 should be carried out at least once each school year. As you know, the EWIMS process allows educators to use readily available data to support students. The process includes 3 key elements: early warning data and a tool, the 7-step process itself, and interventions. All 3 elements comprise the early warning system and serve necessary functions which we will briefly discuss. As the team discusses in Step 7 what's working and what can be improved, they reflect on the data, the interventions, and the process. When reflecting on data, consider the following: the accessibility of data and use of the data tool. What could be improved? Trends over time related to early warning indicator data, progress monitoring data, and the experiences of team members. When reflecting on your team's EWIMS process, consider the efficiency of team meetings, the effectiveness of EWIMS coordination and communication, and the alignment of EWIMS with school priorities, policies, practices, and procedures. Some potential questions related to the process include: is EWIMS aligned or integrated with other school programs or processes? Is the work of the EWIMS team improving coordination and communication in the school? How effective are our meeting protocols? For example, are we able to get through the list of students during the allotted meeting time? When reflecting on intervention implementation, here are some questions to ask. Are there sufficient interventions available to students? What types of interventions are assigned most and least frequently at Tiers 1, 2, and 3? Were any interventions especially successful with specific students or groups of students? What contributed to the intervention's success? What difficulties were associated with implementing each intervention? Reflecting on the answers to these questions at the end of the school year, and possibly midway through the school year, can contribute to the continual improvement of your school's EWIMS process. In addition, this information can be useful to school leaders as they request district support. After reflection comes refinement. What improvements, adjustments, and expansions should the team make related to data, processes, and interventions? At this point, consider the following questions. What improvements or adjustments should be made so that educators can participate effectively in the EWIMS team? What would it take to open more seats in those interventions that are correlated with student progress? What school-wide policies need to be in place next year to sustain the progress that is being made? If the EWIMS team observes growing student need for interventions at Tiers 2 and 3 over time, they should revisit and strengthen Tier 1 supports. While this may sound counterintuitive, effective universal practices, such as regular opportunities for positive peer interactions, before and after school programming, physical health supports such as vision checkups or movement breaks, function as prevention for some students, thereby narrowing the stream of students requiring intervention or specialized supports. The need for practices in Tier 2 and 3, which are aimed at interrupting harmful patterns and re-engaging students in school, remains important. Even so, a strong system of universal supports allows for resources to be better allocated based on need. Strengthening Tier 1 interventions can also help families to feel safer and welcomed when they visit or engage with the school. Family and community engagement is a key component of an effective, comprehensive approach to reducing early warning indicators. After comprehending the big picture of EWIMS, it is important to understand potential implementation challenges to be avoided. In the AIR study, described in earlier videos, half of the 73 participating schools were randomly assigned to implement EWIMS. And after 1 year of implementation, schools using EWIMS showed reduced percentages of students with chronic absences and course failure. The schools also offered lessons learned for implementation. The top 3 challenges identified in the study were importing data into the tool, staff turnover and onboarding new team members, limited staff time to fully implement EWIMS. Next, we provide suggestions for addressing each of these challenges. If your school experiences challenges importing data into the tool, appoint a data person, a staff member with strong data skills who is experienced using the student information system and is able to download and upload data and build readable reports. If difficulties related to staff turnover and onboarding new EWIMS team members are a challenge in your school, ask staff to commit to participating in the EWIMS team for the next academic year before school is released for the summer. Based on the team's reflections in Step 7, you may want to consider adding or rotating some team members to build EWIMS capacity across the school. Team members and school district leaders should identify potential new EWIMS team members and make sure they are trained to use the Michigan Data Hub Early Warning Data Tool, and that they have a solid grounding in the EWIMS process before the new school year begins. You can onboard new team members during multiple times during the school year. If there are concerns that staff in your school have insufficient time for EWIMS implementation, assess whether implementation is a school-wide priority and has sufficient support from administrators. If EWIMS is a school-wide priority, team members should focus on helping each other to make time for what is important. Across the country, educators report that the reason they became teachers is to support young people. Help team members see that the powerful nature of the EWIMS process is supporting students. Finally, remember the importance of spending time wisely and moving to action. For example, can a team member make a quick call to connect a student to a given intervention during a team meeting, rather than adding the call to a to-do list for tomorrow? Remember that EWIMS is about keeping students at the center. Early warning systems grew from the understanding that student disengagement from school is a gradual process. and that there are identifiable signals when a student is headed toward dropping out. Schools can use data to identify trends among students, enabling educators to intervene with those who are likely to leave school before graduation. When EWIMS is implemented successfully, students who are at risk of falling off track receive appropriate interventions to get back on track. EWIMS is a process of continuous improvement and adjustment. For best results, it is important to stick with the process and be patient, because the potential benefits to students and families are significant. Thank you for joining us for the final video in this series about the 7-step EWIMS process. For an in-depth exploration of all 7 steps in the process, you are encouraged to view the complete set of 8 EWIMS videos. The EWIMS Implementation Guide is available on the Michigan Department of Education's EWIMS website for EWIMS teams to download and use. Another resource on the same site is the EWIMS Video Facilitation Guide, which provides suggestions for using the videos, notes on implementing the 7 steps, and talking points to be used with groups viewing the videos. While the Facilitation Guide is designed for school-level administrators and staff, it is also suitable for use with area superintendents and district leadership teams. All of these resources can be accessed by visiting the Michigan Department of Education website and doing a search for EWIMS. On behalf of the Great Lakes Comprehensive Center, the Michigan Department of Education, and the students and families of Michigan, we thank you for your work to support students and improve graduation rates across the state.